Hi, robotics fans. I'm building shRobot, and today we're finally going to start bringing all of the electronics together, which means this episode will bring us much closer to finishing the shRobot project. What if I told you that I came up with a part that has the following features? It has mounting slots for electronic modules. The modules can be easily installed, removed, and replaced. Almost no soldering is required. All you need to build it is a 3D printer and regular Arduino wires. And the entire assembly can be installed inside the robot and connected to all of its electronics. And all of that is one 3D printed system. Oh, right. Another AliExpress package arrived. I ordered some filament. 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 And I think you already know what comes next. Yes, more filament. Now, someone is probably going to say, if you measured everything properly, you wouldn't have to buy so much filament. I saw your comments. I enjoyed your jokes. So I bought a digital caliper. Now my mistakes can be measured to the nearest hundredth of a millimeter. Alright, let's get to the main part. We need to somehow fit all of the electronics inside the robot while still keeping everything reasonably accessible. So I decided to design a separate part for this. Let's call it the shRobot board. Technically, of course, it isn't an electronic circuit board. It's more like a structural platform that holds all of the robot's electronics. But shRobot board sounds much simpler, so let's stick with that. I started the design with the two microphones on the display. I placed them exactly where they need to be in the finished robot. They're located on the front of the body, so their positions are pretty much fixed. In general, when designing shRobot, I try to prioritize the overall design first. I could have done the opposite. Arrange all of the electronics in the most convenient way first and then build the body around them. But then shRobot would probably be a box. And sure, that would have saved me from about half of the problems in this project, but it would be completely boring. The main idea is pretty simple. I wanted to avoid a situation where every electronic module has to be permanently soldered into the robot. So I decided to use regular female-to-female Dupont wires, but I'm using them in a slightly unusual way. I made one shared channel in the printed part, and the plastic connectors of the wires are inserted into it one by one from the side. There are also special rails above and below the channel. They prevent the plastic connectors from moving up or down and keep every contact at exactly the right height. As a result, you get an entire row of standard female connectors positioned directly under the pins of an electronic module. And now you can simply install something like an ESP32 from above. Its pins go directly into the wire connectors. So essentially, the printed part turns a set of regular Dupont wires into a custom socket for a specific electronic module. Let me also show you a cross-section. Here you can clearly see how the plastic wire connectors sit inside the shared channel while the module pins enter them from above. And the module can be removed, replaced, or repositioned at any time without desoldering anything. Using it is pretty simple. Designing it, however, was not simple at all. I needed to create these mounting slots for almost every electronic module in the robot, and that took a huge amount of time. For almost an entire month, I was mainly working on this one part. I needed to fit the ESP, the motor driver, the audio amplifier, and at that point also a gyroscope, and somehow all of that had to fit inside a fairly small round robot. I tried a huge number of different component layouts, and surprisingly, the biggest problem turned out to be these rotating boomerang-shaped frames. When they rotate, they need a fairly large amount of free space inside the body, so it's not enough to simply find an empty spot and place some electronics there. You also have to make sure that one of the frames won't pass through that same area while moving. Because of that, the shape of the board kept getting stranger and stranger. I also absolutely needed to keep access to the ESP USB port. I'm planning to experiment with the firmware a lot more, so I definitely don't want to disassemble half of the robot every time I need to upload new code. Basically, these rotating frames have already caused me a ridiculous amount of trouble. shRobot is too small, and I'm trying to put too much stuff inside it. Who could have guessed? After roughly 10 different versions and several days of rotating the model around in CAD, I finally got the first version of the shRobot board that at least looked usable. Naturally, I immediately sent it to the printer. By the way, someone in the comments gave me a very useful tip. If you only need to test a small section of a model, you don't have to print the entire thing. You can simply cut out the section you need directly in Bamboo Studio and print only that. I started using this technique all the time, and it really saved me a huge amount of time and filament. So thanks for the tip. The module pins go directly into the wire connectors, while the printed part keeps everything in place. But then I ran into one funny problem. All of the wires are inserted through the same opening, and when I got to the last wire, there was nothing stopping it from simply falling back out through that exact same opening. Very smart. I came up with several ways to lock everything in place. In the end, I solved the problem of the last wire falling out in the simplest possible way. I printed several small plastic plates with different thicknesses. After installing all the wires, I simply insert the plate that fits into the remaining space. And that's it. The wires are locked in place. Once you come up with the solution, it seems completely obvious. And you start wondering, why didn't I do this from the beginning? But for some reason, I first had to print several completely unnecessary designs. After testing individual sections, I finally decided to print the entire board. And here it is. The first thing you notice is the ridiculous amount of support material. Because of the strange shape of the part, the printer had to create this piece of modern art that was already not ideal. But then I discovered a much bigger problem. I tried to install the ESP and realized that I physically couldn't get it into place. Yes, I designed an ESP mounting slot that you cannot install an ESP into. Excellent work. You might ask, couldn't you have thought about that before printing such a huge part? Yes, but when you're designing a complicated assembly, it's very difficult to predict absolutely everything in advance, especially the order in which the parts will eventually need to be installed. Some problems only become obvious once you start assembling everything with your hands, and that's exactly why a 3D printer is so useful here. Make a mistake, change the model, print the next version. I went back into CAD and decided to do something that I probably should have done much earlier: split the board into several parts. I divided the main structure into two large pieces connected with bolts, and that immediately gave me a bunch of advantages. Faster printing, less support material, easier modifications, and most importantly, now the electronics could actually be installed properly. But I decided to take it even further. The microphone and display housings also became separate parts, and once again that turned out to be very useful. In general, this project taught me one thing. If you can split a complicated part into several smaller pieces without causing new problems, it's probably better to do it. You'll thank yourself later. After several more changes, I finally got a version I was happy with. Now I could start installing the actual wiring. Before this, I had already prepared a wiring diagram for all of the electronics connected to the ESP, and now it was finally useful. This big black rectangle is the ESP. Let's start with the motor driver. I check which ESP pin a specific motor driver contact needs to connect to, count the correct position, and insert the corresponding wire into the mounting slot. And then I repeat that process, contact by contact. If a module pin isn't actually used, I still insert a plastic connector there so the module stays securely in place. That means sacrificing a small piece of wire. Yes, maybe that's a little barbaric, but these wires are cheap and I still need the connector itself. And this is where I discovered another thing I hadn't originally considered. Almost every module needs power and ground. So we have several devices that all need 3.3 volts and ground at the same time. But the ESP32 has far fewer suitable power pins than we have devices. At first, I solved this in the most technologically advanced way possible. I started stripping wire insulation with my teeth and connecting the wires together. At some point, my conscience finally caught up with me. So I decided to make a proper solution. I needed a way to distribute the same 3.3 volts and ground to several modules at once, so I added another small section to the board. Except this section works almost in reverse. Although, to be completely honest, while making this video I came up with a better solution, so instead of showing you this version in detail, I'll show you the improved one a little later. Alright, let's assemble the final version of the shRobot board. We install the wires for the ESP32, the power and ground wires, the motor driver wires, the audio amplifier housing, the wires into the display housing, and then the modules themselves. By the way, the display housing is installed a little differently now. I simplified the display connector, and this version turned out to be much more convenient. We install the motor driver, the audio amplifier, the display, and the remaining components. Now let's check if all of this actually works. I asked Claude to write the simplest possible test code, just run the motors one by one. Upload. Looks like it works. That's a good sign. Ignore the annoying noise from the wheels rubbing against the frame. I've significantly redesigned this part and I'll show you the updated version soon. Now we connect the display, and this time I want to test several systems at once. The display shows the status of the motors while they're running. Upload. Great, the motors work, the display works, and the best part is that everything is connected through our board. Next up is sound. For that, I first need to put together a rough version of the power module. Nothing fancy yet. It consists of a battery charging module and a converter that provides the required 5 volts. Connect the amplifier, the speaker, power it up.
I am shRobot. Subscribe and like. I am still here.
Then I combined the display code with the speaker code, and both of them work at the same time. So now we already have the motors, display, sound, ESP32, and almost all of the electronics integrated into one board. But there's still one more interesting thing left. Time to work on the microphones. I designed a separate small housing for each one, install the wires inside, then attach the housings to the front section of the board. We can test them, but simply checking whether they receive sound would be boring, so I gave Claude a more interesting task. shRobot has two microphones, left and right. I want to determine which side the sound is louder on. If the left microphone hears the sound louder, we show that on the display. If the right microphone is louder, we show the right side. And this is no longer just a nice looking animation. In the future, the robot will be able to detect which side I'm calling it from and turn toward me, now that I really like.